expanded in a way that has not only captured but has also redefined the stakeholder and citizen association, hence revolutionizing business, economy, and society.
And entrepreneurs and innovators globally to explore its groundbreaking impact through this esteemed 18th ISDSI Global Research Conference. As a global focus on holistic development intensifies, driven by organizations such as the United Nations, the importance of prioritizing sustainability becomes all the more critical. Aligned with this vision, this conference emphasizes the essential balance between economic growth, environmental sustainability, and inclusivity. Thus, the predominant intent will be the interplay and harmony of AI and the three key important pillars: economy, ecology, and inclusion.
By engaging in intriguing panel discussions led by industry and academic experts, showcasing the high and low stake points of the concern at hand and aiding the learning curve about AI in business, this conference aspires to be multifarious in its approach. We would now proceed with the inauguration ceremony of the Doctoral Consortium of the 18th ISDSI Global Conference.
And like every other auspicious occasion, let us start this event by offering our prayer to Ma Saraswati and conducting a customary lamp lighting ceremony as a tribute to Mother Saraswati, the embodiment of knowledge. Saraswati Mahabhagi, Vidya Kamala Lochane, Vidya Rupe Vishalakshi, Vidyam Dehi Namastuti. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please invite all the respected dignitaries, chief guests, and the directors to please come forward and light the lamps. While the lamp lighting ceremony is going on, may I request the audience to please rise. Thank you everybody. Kindly take your seats.
Pune Institute of Business Management is a leading management institute that nurtures and develops young and dignified managers and entrepreneurs. It gives me great pleasure to acknowledge the dynamic leadership of Raman Preet sir and the humongous efforts of the managing committee members, And what can be a fitting tribute to the founding members of the institute than witnessing their journey and chronicles of inception and establishment of this esteemed institute. So ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes on the journey of our magnificent institute. I request the video to be played, please.
remarkable journey for this institute. And before we proceed on with the felicitation ceremony, we have an important message given to us for the 18th ISDSI Global Research Conference by all our international partners. May I request the audiovisual to be played, please?
On behalf of Clark, as a partner with Pune Institute of Business Management, I want to extend my very best wishes for the upcoming renowned ISDSI-G Global Conference.
I just want to share with you how excited we are to collaborate with PIBM and their upcoming conference, AI in Business.
And extending our warmest wishes to the host university, the Pune Institute of Business Management.
Thank you for inviting me to be a part of ISDSI Global International Conference.
I extend my best wishes to Pune Institute of Business Management, PIBM, for the organization and arrangement of this G Global Conference.
Today we are having this conference in partnership with Pune Institute of Business Management. The conference is ISDSI Global Conference.
I want to extend my best wishes to Pune Institute of Business Management, PIBM, for the upcoming renowned ISDSI-G Global Conference.
I wanted to take a moment to congratulate our colleagues at the Pune Institute of Business Management for their upcoming global conference.
We wish you all a fruitful and insightful conference.
Hope to see you all there.
I wish you a successful conference, and I wish that this conference will have many virgins to come, and you will be participating in this conference.
Looking forward to seeing you all there.
Once again, congratulations.
All my best.
PIBM really thanks all our international partners for their support. And it is now with our utmost humility that we will seek permission to begin the felicitation ceremony for our honorable guests for the occasion. Prior to that, we would like to introduce a sculptor for creating leaders and a leader who has created this esteemed institute. He's an entrepreneur with a vision to transform the education system integrated with the advent of technology. He has been awarded for his incredible contribution to the education sector by prestigious organizations like the Economic Times and many others. Following Swami Vivekananda Ji's philosophy, Sir ensures that PIBM remains at the forefront of turning learners into future global leaders by delivering world-class management education with an industry co-designed curriculum. Sir is also engaged with the National Skills Development Corporation and the All India Council for Technical Education for various skill development and employability enhancement initiatives with a vision to skill the youth of our country and make them employable so that they either join a company or start on their own, thereby creating more jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, can we all have a big round of applause for the founder, chairman, executive director of PIBM Group of Institutes and also the advisor to the National Commission of Minorities, Ministry of Minority Affairs, Government of India, our Honorable Chairman, Ramanpreet Sir. Sir will be joining our global conference in a moment. And now for the opening remark, may I invite Dr. Rajeshri Pillai, ma'am, Director, International Relations, Research and Development, Pune Institute of Business Management, for her opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone.
Sir, we just have started the felicitation.
So
you might have to mute your microphone.
good morning, everyone, and very warm welcome to all the respected dignitaries, distinguished founder Ramanpreet sir, invitees of this conference, presenters, directors of PIBM, HODs, faculty members, and my dear students. On behalf of PIBM family, I welcome all of you for 18th ISDSI Global International Conference, Navigating the AI Frontier in Business, Balancing Economy, Ecology, and Inclusion. It all started in 2024. We received a baton from IIM Ranchi, and from that this journey has started. And before we go ahead with the conference highlight, I would like to take this opportunity to talk a brief about PIBM. And PIBM is one of the top Bschools in India, and we aim to develop competent management professionals for managing and leading organizations. We believe in providing skill-based, high-value business management education. Our core values include continuous improvement, holistic student development, sustainable growth, transparency, and empowerment. We at PIBM Group of Institutes have been providing education with respect to various courses such as PGDM, MBA, hybrid MBA, global MBA, and we provide the education into various specializations such as business analytics, marketing, AI, then human resource management, project management, and we are one of the top institutes in Maharashtra to provide the education in fintech as well. And also PIBM will be soon a global skill university. With this, I invite all the scholars, academicians, and industry experts to widen the research impact and implication. I, on behalf of PIBM family, happy to announce the inauguration of Doctoral Consortium for our 18th ISDSI Global Research Conference 2024. With elusive research publication insights and high-impact publication opportunity, among other takeaways, we are proud to bring you an amalgamation of intellect and opportunity. This conference aims to navigating the AI frontier in business. The topics of discussion, we received a tremendous response from around 531 various universities and 20 international partners and researchers who will be presenting their research papers, and more than 1,200 authors have contributed to this conference. So various areas which will be discussed in this conference are of course with respect to starting from general management to, I think there is another line somewhere, can you stop that? Yeah. So there are topics which will be discussed, will be general management starting from marketing, HR, finance, AI, and we have received the research papers which I would like to mention some of the important topics: consumer behavior, technology adoption, employee well-being, sustainability, then sustainability in supply chain management, marketing, transitioning towards circular economy, net zero supply chains, leadership in AI, sustainability and AI, AI and ethics, AI for society, AI for business management, inclusivity, then DEI and strategy for sustainable business. So with this, all different topics which will be presented in this conference. So I take this opportunity to just make you acquainted with the next 3 days journey. So today we will have a doctoral colloquium, and there will be very insightful research presenters, very dignified editors of the journals who will be presenting different topics today. When we move forward, tomorrow we will have inauguration ceremony wherein ministers will be joining for our inauguration ceremony, and then we will have directors panel, then CEO panel, accreditation panel. On 28th we have planned for publication panel, case study method panel, women entrepreneurship panel, and startup panel. And on 29th we will have a CHRO panel, and then we will end up with the valedictory ceremony, and the prizes will be announced on the last day, of course. So 2 days, 3 days we will have presentations in the evening. And we made it in the evening because we don't want the presenters or researchers to miss the opportunity of listening to the all eminent personalities and guests. With this, I welcome all of you and declare this conference open and hand over to the anchors. I welcome you all again and thank you so much for being here at PIBM. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rajashri ma'am, for your opening remarks. Now we will proceed on with the felicitation ceremony.
Our first honorable guest has had a distinguished academic career with a focus on student success, program development and strategic planning. He has served as a dean as well as director at several prominent universities such as California State University, Bakersfield, the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. Sir holds degrees in mechanical engineering from Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, industrial engineering from PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore, and a doctorate in operations research from IIT Mumbai. He excelled as a professor of operations management, publishing extensively in his field with over 450 journal articles and 85,000 citations. At present, Sir is a professor of Global Supply Chain Management at Penn State Harrisburg School of Business. He has a strong international presence, fostering global collaboration, visiting professorship, and involvement in international organizations. May I request the video to be played, please? Rajashri ma'am to please come and felicitate sir. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence, sir.
Today we also have the opportunity to welcome a very distinguished scholar and an expert on management and organizational performance with an illustrious academic background, holding a PhD in industrial engineering from the University of Louisville. He has dedicated himself to teaching and research focusing on transformative management philosophies such as just-in-time and activity-based management by seamlessly bridging theories and practice. He addresses real-world challenges with innovative solutions. Sir's extensive contribution to the field are evident in his numerous publications in leading journals such as the European Journal of Operational Research. Let us all have a look at Sir's illustrious career. May I please request the video to be played? warmly welcome Dr. Mahesh Gupta, Professor at University of Louisville, to the 18th ISDSI Global Conference, where he will be sharing his invaluable insights. Sir, may I request you to kindly come forward. May I request Dr. Rajashri Pillai, Ma'am, Director, International Relations, to kindly felicitate Mahesh, sir. Thank you, sir. I request you to kindly take your seat.
Moving on to our next guest. He is an accomplished academic and researcher in the field of marketing with his career spanning over 15 years. He has held significant positions such as full professor and research head at Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, where he guided PhD scholars and contributed to various academic committees. His research interests encompass technology adoption, consumer behavior, and hospitality and tourism, demonstrating a diverse expertise that bridges theory and practice. Dr. Chakraborty has also worked in industry roles, enhancing his academic insights with practical marketing experience. Currently, Sir is an associate professor at IIM Nagpur. Let us take a look at Sir's illustrious career. May I request the video to be played, please? Thank you so much, ma'am. Please take your seat, sir. Now, to deliver the vote of thanks, I would like to call Dr. Purnima Sehrawat. She is a faculty in the Human Resources and Head IQAC PIBM. I invite Dr. Purnima for the vote of thanks, please.
There's a little change. I would like to invite first Angappa sir to just share his opening remark, and then we'll continue with them. Please, sir.
Good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee and also Professor Raman Preet for the opportunity to be part of this great conference. I'm not just saying for the sake of about the comprehensiveness of the conference. I looked at the program in detail and it covers almost everything. I have never seen such a comprehensive conference with the industry panel and also student participation, and also with other universities. And I looked at the topics to be, the papers of the topics to be presented, and also the invited talks, panel sessions and so on, and they cover almost all the areas. I understand the focus is generative AI in business. Recently I started working on generative AI in logistics and supply chain management. So I thought, you are well ahead of what we are doing, at least at Penn State Harrisburg. And I have traveled extensively around the globe and worked with scholars, but I can say, PIBM is second to none, I would say. And the students, you're all, and also other participants, truly fortunate to be, part of this conference and also make use of the opportunity to learn the advances in business and management research. So I'm going to present about the research methodology. So as you can see, I was a full-time administrator for over 12 years. So somehow I have some gaps in my research. However, I started recently to catch up with my research. So I'm truly fortunate to be part of this conference, and I have been associated with the PIBM for so many years. And Professor Ramanpreet has visited me, I think started in California, at California State University in Bakersfield, and recently at Penn State Harrisburg in Pennsylvania, of course. And I really enjoy collaborating with the faculty and the students, especially Professor Ashri Pillai and Professor Purnima Shrawat on many research projects, including the AACSB initial accreditation. In fact, they have given me an opportunity to learn about initial accreditation. So after that, I have volunteered to be a mentor for a business school in India for AACSB accreditation. So I'm really looking forward to listen to all your wonderful presentations, and also the panel sessions with the industry experts. So thank you very much once again for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, sir. May I call upon Devarun sir for his opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. It's my absolute honor and privilege to welcome you all in the ISDSI Global Conference 2024, hosted with the collaboration of Pune Institute of Business Management, Pune. At first, I would like to thank Ramanpreet ji, Rajshri ma'am, and other team members of PIBM, as well as all the students of PIBM. So thank you very much for participating to this conference, and we are really glad to see you people over here. I can see the numbers over here, and we are really delighted to see you people over here. I'm sure that for the next few days, you are going to see different kind of aspects and prospects in the different domains of the business, and I'm sure that you will learn a lot from here. The International Society for Data Sciences and Innovations, which is ISDSI Global, is a not-for-profit professional consortium which brings the institutions, corporates, and the individuals from the academia and industry. And this particular ISDSI Global has been started in 2007 with the able leadership of Professor Bimaraya Maitre, who is the director of IIM Nagpur. And this is our 18th year we are organizing this particular conference, and this time it is with PIBM Pune. Earlier last year it was with IIM Ranchi, and next year also we are going to organize in a reputed institute in India. So this particular conference, the volume speaks that this particular conference is having a lot of enthusiasm among the people, and I'm also delighted to kick off the doctoral colloquium scheduled for today, which is 26th December, as part of this year's conference. Let us embark on this enriching journey of knowledge sharing and exploration together welcome you once again and hope to see you people for the next 4 days. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now may I call upon Dr. Purnima Sherawat for the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. So I sincerely thank first of all team ISDSI Global, Dr. Rangappa Gunashekaran, Dr. Mahesh Gupta sir, Dr. Debarun Chakrabarti sir, Dr. Paramia, Dr. Mohammed and Dr. Prakash Singh sir for being here, enlightening us with your words, and thank you for giving your valuable time first of all and making this conference gracious. I am sure me, my faculty colleagues and my dear students will learn a lot from in these 4 years, in these 4 days in this conference. Thank you so much, and we can start the conference now with the my team will start with the sessions, Doctoral Consortium. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the Doctoral Consortium for the 18th Global ISDSI International Conference, and it is with great honor that we will welcome an esteemed academician whose expertise spans over 18 years in the field of marketing strategy, data analysis and qualitative research. He is an associate professor at the University of Auckland Business School, where he has made remarkable contributions to academia and has been instrumental in shaping future leaders through his teaching and research. His work typifies the pursuit of quality and excellence, which motivates many students and professionals. Sir's research focuses on how emergent technologies shape people's life and work, particularly how customers and frontline employees form relationships with AI, robots, and other business automations, and its subsequent impact on companies and brands. Let us all have a look at Sir's illustrious career. May I please request the video to be played? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Laszlo Santos, who is joining us online. The first doctoral workshop for the 18th ISDSI Global Conference will be conducted by Dr. Laszlo Santos on the use of AI in service sectors and the future ahead. I seek permission from the audience to give us time as we set up the online Zoom link.
Start on your presentation.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll just allow you to share those slides.
Great. Thank you. And I'm trying to share the slides. Just a moment.
Professor Santos, could you share your screen? You're live in the auditorium.
Okay, sorry, I'm just having some difficulty with sharing the slide.
May I request Professor Bore to kindly make Professor Santos the host for the Zoom link, please? Or make enable search share screen option. Yes, sir. Your screen is visible in the auditorium, sir. You can proceed on with your doctoral session.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about the delay in the beginning. Thank you so much for this very great and very kind introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the invitation on behalf of the University of Auckland. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk at this event. And I'm really humbled to be here. I wish I could be there in person. So my name is Laszlo, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Auckland. Hopefully you can hear me well and you can see the slide as it's intended. I basically prepared a presentation for, I guess my understanding was that this is a first, or one of the first few sessions at the doctoral colloquium. So I prepared some slides basically about how I see AI in services. I'm obviously looking at it from a marketing point of view. And I gave a bit of a past, present, and future overview of this topic, which is obviously has been around for the last 6 to 8 years now, quite heavily in many literatures, including marketing. So again, I'm really humbled. I'm really happy to share these with you, and thank you so much again for the conference organizers to invite me and to present here today. Hopefully you can see the agenda. So what I'd like to talk about today is probably 4 points. A little bit about the evolution of AI. Some aspects of what is AI, defining AI, understanding AI. A few things about how we actually approach currently the literature when we work with AI. And finally, a few ideas about managing services with AI. So yeah, I've got a few screens, so if I'm looking at a different screen, it's because my content is on a different screen. So let's have a look at a few ideas about the evolution of AI. So AI is obviously not a new thing. One of my favorite examples, and I'm not sure how many people are in the audience are familiar with this sort of artifact or object that dates back to the late 18th century, late 1700s. This was called, which is pretty close to me, close to my heart, because it's close to home for me. So this artifact is called the Turk. And this Turk basically was probably first automation on playing chess. So this machine, obviously, as you can already see, it wasn't an automation, but it was pretending to be one. There was a man inside this automation. It was actually playing the chess, playing the game, and moving the Turk itself. And this is just a bit of an idea about basically how automations these days work, right? So a lot of the times we have automations that heavily rely on humans, on what we do and how we act and what sort of data we provide and what sort of decisions we make, how we supervise some of these machines. So this machine back then, it was obviously phenomenal because everybody believed that it can play by itself. It was actually a machine that played chess, but in fact, what happened was obviously the person inside it made the automation work. So the idea of automation actually goes back to probably 1950s. I gave you a bit of an overview here on the AI timeline. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the audience can relate to it in person, like they lived through these periods, and I guess some of the Some part of the audience might only be familiar with the more recent events, but there are some really fundamental milestones, I guess, that we need to probably reflect on a little bit. So the first one, obviously, everybody most likely knows about is the Turing test. That is named after the computer scientist who came up with this test, and this was basically a test to measure machine intelligence, right? So if a machine can trick you into thinking whether it's a human, you're talking to a human or a machine, that basically, I guess, it is the essence of this test. But since then, I guess the work has moved on, and although it's been employed quite excessively and extensively, this is a very expensive test, and often it's not reliable. So I guess we can talk about the born of the term AI, which was 1955, and since then, I guess there are lots of really intelligent and really clever ideas as to how to bring bots or robots to life, like including the MIT's ELIZA and later on the Shaky, so a chatbot and a robot. I guess everybody's familiar with IBM's chess playing machine, or later on the AlphaGo that were champions of that particular sport. But I'm pretty sure people are maybe more familiar with these commercial products like Aibo or Roomba or Siri. Many of us have installed this on our phone already. Right? So these are very fundamental ideas that I guess we consider to be AI, and this timeline stops at 2017, but in 2018 there was something else that came on the horizon, which was ChatGPT. Right? So OpenAI's really fundamental new innovation that transformed how we think about AI, and in the form of LLMs, right? So large language models. And in the last around 6 to 8 years, I mean, LLMs have really transformed our thinking, our vision, our ways of working. And it's basically been, I guess, a fundamental working tool for many of us. If it hasn't, well, I guess it's time for us to change, right? So LLMs are really important ways for us to think about research and work. And I guess everybody has seen many of these iterations from other companies as well, including Microsoft or Google. So the challenge is basically with coming up with better of these products, better services that these LLMs can provide. So far I just wanted to give you a really brief overview of what I guess can be considered to be AI, but there are obviously many other examples here that can be thought of. One of the things that I like to emphasize in the next section is that obviously AI is, as it is a big topic because it spreads across digital and physical worlds, it's also quite, I guess, a broad idea, and it probably needs a lot more specific definition. I come across with these ideas more and more when I review papers or editing like special issues about technologies that are new and they tend to have automation or some sort of AI involved in the paper, the technology. But I guess what's really missing is defining how is that technology, despite its novelty, how is it different from anything else? So I guess one of the main ideas that I really want to sort of hammer home is the notion of this fourth industrial revolution. Why this was really a revolutionary idea, or why is it a revolutionary time that I guess we can think about it as a blessing, right? So we can think about it as something very new to live through. So in the last 6 to 8 years, we've been living in this what we call like fourth industrial revolution. So after the steam engine, after the electricity, after the computers and internet, now we actually are living in an era where the technologies actually can talk to each other. They can be connected with each other, right? And this is a very exciting time. And the most exciting thing about it is the fact that these things can actually blur the boundaries. So now, everybody, when we can talk about physical things, or digital things, or biological things, these can actually be interconnected. They can blur these boundaries. These technologies can help to mix things up a little bit, which obviously provides a tremendous potential for innovation, right? So the fourth industrial revolution is the underlying idea is this blurring the boundaries between physical, digital, and biological spheres. And this is basically facilitated by technology. With some of the co-authors, we wrote a paper on this idea of the fourth industrial revolution, and we try to unpack what does it actually mean. So oftentimes, we think about these physical and digital, especially in marketing a lot. So in the last 30 or 40 years in marketing, the customer journey, the customer lifetime with a particular brand, it has been quite a huge focal point when it comes to research. So the fact that there are technologies that can allow you to track customers, to observe their behavior across different channels, the physical and the digital channel, and then look at their joint behavior, so to say. Look at how they switch from one track to the other. I think this is great. And this, if you are familiar with this literature, there are tremendous ideas that have already come out of this, including concepts like web rooming, or showrooming, where you actually jump from one sort of realm to the other realm, jump from the digital to the physical, the other way around, right? So capturing human and brand interactions across these physical and digital boundaries, this is amazing and it provides us with lots of opportunities for research. But there are also other areas where digital or biological and physical and biological can be combined. And we can think about all these ideas about capturing anything about your human body, right? Capturing your activities, or capturing ideas about human enhancements. So I'll just give you a few ideas on this to showcase basically what this means, like when we think about digital versus physical. And as you can see, these are all, I guess, ideas. Like when you think about the physical physical realm, these are cyborgs that we can have a look at more closely over physical robots. And these are really exciting areas for research as well. On the other hand, the digital realm, looking at digital assistants, LLMs, and then the boundary, I guess there are wearable devices, or IoT devices, or augmented reality types of devices. These are all amazing opportunities, basically, where you can think of technologies that can allow you to do the boundary crossing. The other favorite area of mine is basically where you look at sort of physical and biological, or digital and biological. So looking at your various activities. So this is something that has become a research area of mine recently, working on it with a student, that we look at sort of quantified self. So this is basically a phenomenon that has been around for a couple of decades now, where people are really interested in creating sort of quantified versions of themselves by tracking various activities of theirs and looking at what they do. And that could be any activities in life. So it could be from your health, right? Looking at your apps, for instance, on your phone in terms of what they can do when they measure various activities of your body, including fitness and sports, including your sleep. And many of these basically are tracking various activities of your work, right? The most exciting part of it for me right now that we're working on is basically looking at these various devices, again, that have been developed for the same purpose. So you can think of these various devices that you can see here on this picture that are tracking the same activity, right? And the next question is, which one is the most effective in terms of helping you to achieve your goals? Which one is the most effective to achieve not just your goals, but basically to allow you to learn the most? Right? So this quantified self and implications for the effectiveness of the device in terms of learning and goal achievement this holds tremendous initiatives and tremendous potential for the future. So again, these are a couple of ideas when I think about crossing boundaries through the help of technologies and looking at effectiveness and looking at impact on you as a consumer, but also later on we're going to be looking at impact on you as a worker. So far we've looked at the roles, so to say, of this matrix, but we haven't really answered the question about what is really AI. So when I think about AI, I tend to look at these three areas of big data, machine learning, and so to say AI in its full entity or full entirety. I like to separate these areas from each other. Because basically the idea is that these different functions, these different facets of AI, they actually allow you to have different capabilities, right? So the first one is really about the processing capability and the enormous amount of collecting capability of AI. And we must have heard about these models of 3 V's and 4 V's, basically the value, the veracity, and the volume, and all these different V's basically that surround the big data, right? So when we look at big data, I guess in some areas, big data is big, right? So, and this big data has been used for many years now to facilitate decisions, right? And this enormous amount of data that exists, for instance, in health. I've got a lot of colleagues that are in health, so I collaborate a lot with them. And so in their field, this is basically billions of transactions, just like in the commercial world, that help you to diagnose various diseases. And in some cases, AI already is winning, right? So AI is based on the big data, based on the capability of collecting and processing large amounts of information. AI is already able to detect much better, much faster than humans can, right? So there are areas, there probably still will be areas where this is still requires human oversight, but there are areas already where humans are sort of out of the loop. AI can make decisions, identify decisions in split seconds, a lot faster and a lot better than humans can, right? So this is an important part of the data collection and processing capability. One of the other ideas regarding data processing is, well, this is sort of the dark side of data, big data processing, is that it depends on the data quality. So sometimes the 3 B's don't really talk about whether the data, the quality of the data is actually of use. Is it of high quality or low? So sometimes these predictions, they are not correct because the data set itself is skewed. So the big data processing capability of AI is only facilitated, it can only occur and only take place if the quality of the data is high, basically. We can talk about that later, the quality of data and probably the breadth of the data that the AI draws on in the first place. But those are very important things if the product or the service that a medical provider basically offers, if the data is not of high quality, then usually it relates to and leads to some biases or false predictions and false decisions in the first place. So the next major capability that when we talk about AI needs to be distinguished is basically the machine learning, right? We talk about this a lot. This is basically what we call like pattern recognition, but the main capability that we're really drawing on is basically the AI's capability to learn, right? So we have many engines. I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with engines, basically like the streaming services engines. And obviously as consumers, we see this as the recommendation, right? But even at Netflix, they have many other engines basically that generate these predictions, that learn basically and identify patterns, including the recommendation, but also the content development. So what sort of content should we develop in the first place? Where should we produce these movies, right? So the operation or post-production, where should it take place? But obviously, this is probably something that you might have already noticed with the streaming services that you have seen, that if you look at your wife's or your partner's recommendation, even for the same movies, you can see different trailers, right? So not even just the movie, the recommendations basically come up differently to you, but also even for the same movie, the trailers and imagery, it changes differently for you versus to a different person. So machine learning, basically this pattern recognition, has been in use for a very long time now, and I guess companies are using it basically for not just the front office, so to say, that the customers see, but also for the back office. One of the, I guess, maybe the best example that happened a long time ago, and this was a very famous example. I'm pretty sure people are familiar with this when they talk about machine learning basically going bad, is this example from Target in the US that dates back basically 12 years. It's unimaginable, right? So machine learning was so good that it predicted, I guess, a pregnancy in a family before even a family knew about it, right? So again, this goes back basically to the quality of the data that the machine was trained on, and hence basically the quality of the predictions it produced. So this is basically, obviously they are quite highly and closely connected to each other, but this is a very important idea for machine learning to perform really well, is basically the quality and the depth of the data that it's built on to be high and reliable. And if it's not, I guess this is basically something that we've seen research on many times before about algorithmic biases and discrimination, right? So if these algorithms are trained on bad quality data, then basically you are likely to be discriminated against, you're likely to be treated unfairly. Now, this is a sidestep in the direction of, so obviously there are machine learning algorithms that are trained, but how does it happen? So I like this little video that I've seen on YouTube, and they basically, very, I guess, cleverly explain the process in which that you are basically have these schools for bots, right? So you have millions of these bots, and you have this machine learning bot, you choose the best performer, right? So you have a class of these bots, and always the best performer wins. And then you have you create a new class for this best performing bot, and you fine tune the bot every single time. These guys obviously they don't need sleep, they don't need to eat. Well, they obviously need a lot of power. But besides that, the interesting idea is basically that you're obviously not training one bot, but you're training millions and millions of bots. It depends on the company's resources, how many you can train at a time. And this story is a little bit about also that machine learning is basically developing really quickly. But with that, oftentimes when I talk to computer scientists, the explainability of these bots are not actually developing as quickly as the machine learning learns basically. So the black box often stays where it is. By increasing the complexity of the bot, the explainability of the bot as to how it works, and explaining the person basically why it works and why you get the outcome the way you get it and what you're getting, is often remains unexplained. So after these two capabilities, I guess the main idea that I guess what I associate AI with is this idea of adaptation, right? So there is something about AI that really can help you customize or personalize. So those are the closest words in marketing that we often use, that can sort of adapt on the go, right? So the quicker, the faster, the more intelligently it can adapt and customize and personalize to your needs and to your circumstances, the better it gets. So I just want to share a quick video on this adaptation, just a minute if I can. I will see if I can make this work.
Professor Laszlo, there is no audio.
Sorry?
Can you just check with audio? We can see video, but there is no audio.
Okay. I've got all the things cranked up. I'm not for sure that's... Okay.
No sir, it's not working. No.
Okay. So in that case, I'm just gonna stop that. Sorry about that. So
Is it available on YouTube?
Yeah. So I will share the link for sure.
So that we can play it on.
Look, probably the best is if I just don't hold this up.
Okay, sure, no issues. We can move.
Sorry about this. I thought that it's probably best to share it like this, but clearly it doesn't work. So the video was basically about a spin-off actually at the university here. It's called Soul Machine, and they have cars like the one on the picture here. And these are basically like, they can conduct human interaction level conversations, and with various devices that you attach to your finger, to your chest, basically they can diagnose various things and provide suggestions. So obviously these ideas are very clever basically, because these are addressing very important needs in our society, right? So especially in New Zealand here, we have very remote places, very few doctors in some areas, and that basically would solve a lot of, I guess, emergencies that can occur when you cannot see a doctor. So basically, lack of human resources, an enormous cost in healthcare. I'm pretty sure this is basically across the entire globe and across many different countries. So these ideas are really fundamental, and they're really innovative solutions to help us basically get some of the services that we really need. And again, this is basically talks to the idea of, obviously, this workforce is scalable, this workforce is available 24/7, which is obviously not true for many human beings, right? And these bots, these digital avatars, and obviously when I talk about avatars, I'm not just talking about a pretty face, but it's all about basically the brain behind it. So these are basically available for other sort of tasks as well. And if you look at the Soul Machine website, and I'm pretty sure there are other companies that you might be familiar with that do very similar things. They basically offer services like this, which is really fantastic. I mean, I see some of my students basically practicing their English on this, which is a phenomenal thing that that they couldn't do in any other ways, and I can see how other services that are basically set up, and even though it's face-to-face, it might actually work as effectively as these avatars do. So far I just wanted to give you an overview and a little bit about my perception of what AI is. And I guess I like to work a bit more with this analogy of adaptation, but looking at more about the approaches that we have, at least in marketing, and looking at some of the research that exists, some of my research that we can see in terms of working with AI or working with AI and humans, or working with AI but not humans, right? So a lot of research basically has different ideas when they test these different approaches. So one of the first ideas I want to sort of discuss and just briefly reflect on is probably new models. New models on what? New models on technology adoption. Right? So if you have a look at, and this is again coming back to this little story about me looking at new technologies in papers as a reviewer or as an editor, I often see this problem of people presenting new technologies, but they're not actually differentiating how, let's say, generative AI is different from just AI. Right? So ChatGPT-4 versus ChatGPT-3. Right? So there are some very fundamental, these nuanced sort of differences. But if they're not explained, I guess every technology is the same. Right? So, or maybe comparing ChatGPT with like facial recognition data. Right? So oftentimes authors forget basically that these new technologies, despite the fact that they're new and innovative, they are just another piece of technology, and unless we define and understand how they are actually different, maybe compared to the previous version or compared to a different technology, these adoption models basically are becoming kind of useless. Right? So I guess what I'm arguing for here is that we need to identify new ways of thinking about adoption, rather than just thinking about these very broad terms of, well, there are lots of situational factors, there are lots of personal factors, and there are lots of technology factors. If we look at technology models, I guess we find those three main categories combined into a single model log, and I guess we need to figure out what's actually relevant from there. So this is one particular paper that I worked on last year, well, sorry, this year actually, that we're looking at different needs, competence, autonomy, and relatedness, types of needs for people, and looking at across different stages of what people can do, like IDA models or persuasion type models, and thinking about what are the actual needs that should be met or should not be violated when we're looking at these particular stages. So again, I don't want to go into too much detail here, but I would like to think that this is something that I guess future academics, PhD students can work on and think about what are the best models that really can be applied to particular problems and to particular technologies. On the flip side, again, we have many very broad brush model about resistance or rejection of technologies, right? We did a survey a couple of years ago, and I really liked to be sort of mixed reaction to this middle question here. It wouldn't be important how I treat a virtual assistant because it's a machine. And if you look at this reaction about the disagree, the non-entrepreneur, so the people sitting on the fence, and they agree, I guess this really shows a very interesting picture about how much respect should I pay to automations, right? So this is basically, it's a really interesting area to what extent people consider something to be AI or something respectable because it's a machine, or it's not respectable because it's a machine. So this is a really interesting area, and we've developed a little models basically whereby you're looking at machines, and I believe personally that we often think about these unlike humans. But when you think about machines unlike humans, that can actually happen in two different ways, right? You can think about machines unlike humans when you think about machines as a lot better than you are. And that often happens, right? And these are basically, when the M, we think about the M, the machine is better than us, they have certain resistance mechanisms, right? So they can happen because you think that it makes you, as a human being, it makes you feel vulnerable, right? But it can also make you feel that you might actually feel less in control, right? So these are probably two particular ways when we feel AI needs to be resisted for these two particular reasons. But there are also situations when we think machines as very dumb. They are just inadequate. They're just not actually doing their job, and we are a lot better than, and they can never live up to our expectations, right? And there are other mechanisms that we use why we reject them. Again, this is something that mechanisms have been explored in previous research in isolation from each other, but never together, basically. So one of the research that we've done in my lab, we're looking at this in unison, basically, looking at how people rejecting AI on different grounds and how you can potentially overcome them. Right? So I'm not going to go into details, but the green ones are a few ideas basically that we found so far that, and probably the strongest one is really your positive attitude towards AI, your willingness to try various things with AI that can actually help you overcome some of these resistance mechanisms towards AI. But again, the point here is to think about these resistance mechanisms and also the adoption in a unique way, trying to think about come up with new models. Most of the adoption models basically are rather simplistic, and I come from a background basically with service marketing and relationship marketing, so I can often see basically that we, I guess, reuse certain ideas that we've seen before. So a lot of times when we think about AI use, we look at basically a particular task, and we say, well, if it's a simple task, and if it's kind of like a cognitive or analytical task, we're going to have to use robots. They are going to be great, right? But when we actually move up to the complexity in terms of on the emotional scale or the social scale, we're going to say that that's definitely humans' domain, right? So oftentimes when we think about adoption, a lot of research, and these are very fundamental papers by Johan Weerts, a couple of colleagues that I collaborate with. They have these models adapted from the service literature that look at basically adaptation and use of AI across different tasks. And this is kind of like this very prototypical thinking when it comes to AI use. When you look at people's reaction, so this was a conceptual framework, but when you look at people's reaction, whether they would prefer a human or AI for those particular tasks, there are plenty of research. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but if you look at some of these numbers here, they are all positive for every single task here. And obviously, this research was done in 2019. I'm pretty sure if you do this, like 5 years later now, the scale might have shifted, right? But every single number is positive here, which means everybody prefers human to an algorithm on a particular task, right? So, and we have a couple of, stereotypical way of thinking about, again, like why we actually prefer human, which is a different explanation, again, why we reject AI. So, oftentimes we are, again, in these two different modes of thinking about you just preferring AI, and that's basically your ultimate response to everything, or rejecting, so preferring human versus rejecting AI, and again, you have your reasons why you're actually rejecting them for your own very stereotypical reasons. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this example. Again, this is like a couple of years old already, when Lexus created the first ad that was actually written by AI. Right? So again, do we accept ideas where the AI actually writes the script, but the actual direction is as well by an award-winning human being, an award-winning director, right? So this is a different type of task. So if you, the previous slide talked about lots of these very mundane tasks, whereas this one is more about portraying emotions, And if you think about it, the ad, again, I don't want to maybe watch another video here, but the ad basically portrayed a human makers, like the car makers in motion when the car sort of leaves the factory, right? Or the car might need to be destroyed. So it was really interesting to see how AI actually is able to emotions, show human empathy, and how it is able to do things from the machine's point of view that we believe that maybe it wouldn't be able to do, but the script was phenomenally simple and very elegant. So again, AI, I guess, to some extent, superseded expectations in terms of the emotions and empathetic skills that we didn't think that might actually be possible. Another interesting idea that often comes up, at least in marketing literature, is basically looking at AI through the lens of intelligence. And it's really interesting, when you think about intelligence, because again, this view of the intelligence, it's very sort of task-based, right? So you have these mechanical tasks, so like greeting somebody at the mall, right? And we have lots of robots now where you can have like Pizza Hut, you can order something without talking to anybody, and it's the shape of this robot. So we have these very mechanical tasks that we outsource, right? We have these analytical tasks, and sometimes we are sort of victims of these because you have to identify which one is the car on that picture, which one is the traffic light on that picture, right? So this is how AI learns, basically. So these analytical skills. The IBM example about the intuitive, like you're trying to make a decision, you're trying to have a hunch about something, or as I wanted to show in this video, that the empathy, right? So being empathetic, being social, being emotional, relating to another person. So these are sort of fundamentally unique skills, unique types of intelligence, and every single step is basically a higher level. The only problem with this type of, this way of thinking about intelligence, although it's really easy to sort of implement in research, that it's difficult to capture in real life, right? So when you think about intelligence, I'm pretty sure you're thinking about something else. So when you think about somebody being like, it doesn't have to be intelligence. You can think about fitness, right? When can you say that somebody is fit? When can you say that somebody is intelligent? Obviously, it might be actually very, very different, right? So it could be like somebody might be able to run like 100 meters. You have to say that person is fit, or maybe swim the same distance, right? So recently, there are a lot more new ways of thinking about intelligence. And these are, I believe, it's a lot more exciting. So I do think that there are new models and new competitions about how AI can be intelligent. And they talk about not just intelligence, they talk about general intelligence, right? And to me, this definition, it really rings home that it's really, intelligence is something that you do, when you use, when you don't know what to do, right? So it's thinking outside the box, right? And I come back to this idea of what I agree in terms of what my belief is the AI definition is. It's really this adaptation, this personalization, this out-of-the-box prediction, out-of-the-box way of thinking about like decisions, circumstances when you haven't been in, and you still can figure out the answer based on previous situations that you've been in. So that talks volumes about basically most of the AIs and the LLMs that we see these days. They've been exposed to many of these situations that we see today, and that's how they can respond to the you think, unique situation that you are presenting, right? But in general, general intelligence is very low. So there are new definitions of intelligence that really challenge the current intelligence of these AI models as to what they can do. And you might want to maybe have a look at these ORC, AGI type of models, basically, because they are definitely redefining the field and creating new boundaries, new thresholds as to what really general intelligence means for AI. Sorry, can I just ask how I'm going with time, because I think I might actually be running out of it.
You can go ahead.
Okay, I will try to, because I can see it's 7 o'clock here, so I try to wrap it up reasonably quickly. All right, so I just want to really briefly want to reflect on this new model that we're basically developing here with some of my colleagues here. So when I talk about AI, human sort of working and collaborating with each other, I guess I really need to distinguish between these 3 types of modes when AI works with humans. So a lot of literature talks about replacement or augmentation, and this is basically the idea that I try to portray up until now, that research looks at these individual tasks that the AI will basically do instead of the human being. But the next level is basically is more about collaboration, and how, if you think about how collaboration is different to just replacement or augmentation, or this very mechanical, emotional and analytical intelligence that we talked about so far, collaboration is basically process-based, right? So, and most of the companies think about processes. So they have tasks for sure, but in order for you to accomplish, then you actually need to go through a bunch of processes, a bunch of tasks, so you can have to accomplish a particular process. And this is basically brings home this idea of collaboration. And I don't think that a lot of research has looked into this so far. So one of the recent studies that we published in Journal Service Research is about looking at how you can actually unpack collaboration. So what are the ideas, what are the cues that customers observe when they look at collaboration? And that we distinguish between sort of tasks, when you're connecting these tasks to each other, because obviously most of the consumers, when you're going through this process, they look at these tasks. But also, when you think about a collaboration, there is lots of entity type of cues. So basically, you're looking at the collaboration between the entities. So I personally believe that just looking at replacement of a task with another task by a human versus AI, it's a very limited way of looking at things. Instead, it's much better to look at basically as a process when you're connecting, looking at task connections and entity connections as well. And we found some interesting ideas about what are these potential ideas that consumers observe or notice and they find important. This is just a shout out basically for what sort of approaches we can take for collaborative research. I don't want to spend too much time on this. The last thing in this section I want to really briefly reflect on is basically, is there something beyond collaboration? So our current research looked at collaboration, but the next level, I believe, we're using this notion of symbiosis. So, and we believe that symbiosis actually goes beyond what we have currently in the literature about collaboration. So, I think many studies so far cover this, what I call this augmentation idea through what are these specializations, what are these complementary skills that you can hand over to AI and you don't have to do any yourself anymore. A lot less research is talking about how to coordinate between different entities. What is basically worthwhile monitoring? What needs to be monitored? What are the situations when monitoring is actually pays off? Especially when you think about it from the customer's point of view. The new level that we are thinking about adding to this is basically it's what I call adaptation again. So basically, this is the really unique ideas that you can think about. These symbiotic entities in nature, right? So when you look at these pictures here in nature, but you can also think about these symbiosis, which you can see probably quite a lot. Especially when I walk around in Oakland, there's lots of sort of symbiosis going on between a robotic surgeon and the human surgeon. And the most important ideas that we receive from there is basically about this feedback, feed forward and feedback, basically between the two entities that really creates this symbiotic relationship between them. Okay, the final section, I try to be quick with this. I just want to reflect on a few ideas. And here I just really want to talk about, you know, how services, maybe how they are affected, how managing services is affected as a result of AI. So one of the things that I think we are quite well aware of is the amount of information that we're receiving about whether your job, whether your sector, whether your industry can be replaced, right? I'm really, really surprised. If you look at this list, I'm really surprised that education is basically, it looks like this is the least that can be automated, which I don't know. I personally was involved in at least 3 chatbot development over the last couple of years, and I do believe that, you know, developing chatbots, developing avatars for education is reasonably easy, right? So I'm pretty sure that some of these predictions, as we go further and further into maybe 2020, 2020 is basically they will change. But there are some industries, as you can see, that automation is going to affect them a lot more than some other information, some other sectors. Again, I think it's important for us to realize that some of these jobs basically, again, consist of tasks, and maybe you can think about your job, and I do think about this quite a lot. How many of my job can be easily replaced by a bot, right? So what are the aspects of education, what are the aspects of mine when I teach a class that can be, and I would happily give over to a bot to do, right? So we have many of these Q&A sections, and you know, we have these huge inventory of when you respond to students, and these are basically the inventories that we use to train these AI, right? So this is basically some of the ideas that I'm working with colleagues here at this university in Melbourne to basically train bots to answer questions that maybe sometimes we are not too happy to answer them, right? But again, these are really in some ways very scary stats, right? So that over 70% of your job is basically automatable. Right? And this is the number of workers that can be affected. So these are really scary stats, and this is just the EU, right? We can break it down to various jobs, and we can have a look at, you know, like why and how we can explain maybe why those jobs would be more or less automatable. When I talk to like engineers, they truly believe that their job cannot be automated under any circumstances. On the other hand, like when you talk to computer scientists, they complain about how easy it is to code now with LLMs, right? So there's nothing for you to teach anymore in certain classes. Hopefully this is a video that I just want to quickly show. Hopefully this goes through. If it doesn't, then well. So this was a really quick video about, again, how, you know, business owners basically talk about sort of serving customers, right? And, you know, I did some research with students in China, and many of the restaurants, if we did businesses with, hopefully not because we did the research with them, but they actually went bankrupt. So they went bust. So some of these businesses that heavily relied on bots, or solely relied on bots, basically they did not survive. We looked at many interesting sort of situations when the robot was in the kitchen and everybody else basically on the floor was a human. or when everybody on the floor basically was a robot, including like this one. Basically, you had conveyor belts, you had tablets on the table, but everybody behind the door, so to say, in the background was a human. So that brings up a really interesting question, at least from a marketing point of view, as to what are the most effective ways of serving customers. And this basically sort of leads to this idea of what I would call like service triads, right? So you can think about serving customers as only like the frontline employees in touch with the customer, and that's the only person they see on the floor. You might actually see some combinations or configurations where everybody is in touch with everybody, right? So this is like what I would call a full triad. Or you might actually think about situations when only the AI, like a robot is in touch with the customer and the humans are just in the background and they're only interacting with the robot out of the sight of the customer. So what is the configuration of service design and delivery that works best for your business? So if you think about it, it works across many different settings. And these are, I believe, it's a very interesting question. And I've seen a few research, but I think we do need a lot more research to think about what is the impact of these configurations on service outcomes, not just on the customers, but also on your employees. Right? So these are basically really interesting questions to ponder about when you think about service design and delivery. The final couple of thoughts that I want to sort of share with you, again, this is basically to do more now with the workers than the customers. But I guess, if you think about AI's role, and when I talk to a lot of managers these days, they talk a lot about how their job is changing. Right? So it's not just about how, when you think about your students' experience is changing, but how your job is changing. Right? So I've launched a new initiative this year. We're talking to basically managers across 20 different countries, including India as well, about what is the future of marketing work. So we go into the future of marketing work, basically, which we define as in which technologies shape the purpose, your roles, the skills, the processes, the routines, everything about your work, basically, right? So how does the technology change your work? How does it change what you do? So we are really interested in particular in marketing at the moment. What is the future of marketing work look like? But I've seen many similar research about in HR or in accounting and some other fields as well. So these are some of the questions that we're really interested in knowing about. And it's basically a sort of a call for if you're interested in joining this research. So these are some of the questions that we are really interested in, is whether the purpose of your work, the purpose of your field that you're in, does it change because all these new initiatives now are around? How does your skill set, like if you think about LLMs, right? So how many of us really work with LLMs now and get many, many things done? And how does your skill set change, like your prompt engineering skills change because of it? So again, I don't want to go into too much more details, but this is a little interested in my area that we are really interested in knowing about how the worker's experience is basically changing, your skills, your roles, and anything else basically in your field is changing as a result of the adoption of new technologies. Finally, I just want to give a sort of a shout out to Tata Consulting, because they were very instrumental in a new, in a recent research that we did with them. And again, it was basically an application that we had in sustainability.
To the anchor first.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't understand the last.
I want anchors to take over the charge. Anchors.
Thank you.
Any questions?
We'll open the audience for any questions for Professor Santos. Any questions from the audience? We'll communicate it with anybody with any questions. Yes, can we have a microphone given on my left to the panel member? Yes.
Hello.
Thanks a lot, Professor. It was great to listen to you and lot of insights on the research opportunities and the way forward. One of the things is when you show in the second slide on the
triangle you are showing that is going to be the key thing. But how fast do you think the change is happening or the symbiotic research is going on that? Just your experience on that angle.
Sorry, the question is just a couple of snippets coming through.
Is it audible from my side to you now? Hello, is it audible from my side?
Yeah, it's just a little bit far away. Yeah.
Professor, Doctor, excuse me, you can use this microphone.
Thanks a lot for the wonderful presentation what you gave with a lot of insights on the way forward and ideas for many who are here. One of the questions is you showed the journey in which the AI is going on, but one of the things is in top of the triangle you were saying that symbiotic relationship with AI and human is going to make a big difference. But how do you see the change happening? Is it very fast? For example, we saw Watson's in the early decade. But now how fast you are going to see it and what are the steps that the industry should do to work with academia on this? Your thoughts on this?
Thank you so much for your kind comments and thank you for the question. Really appreciate it. Look, I think the answer really depends on how we define some of these advancements. So I guess the goalpost is always being moved. That's I guess the first thing that I like to sort of highlight, that it's just like with intelligence. Basically, I saw that there's always some new ideas coming out on what we actually define human as machine intelligence, and we're comparing it to human intelligence. So the same with symbiosis. I guess the more we do basically some of these collaborative interactions with AI, the more likely we're going to see this. So I mean, even just in my neighborhood, we have 2 robotic surgeons popped up basically in the last 6 months. Right? So I've started talking to these guys basically to see what actually is happening, and that was one of the I guess benefits for my research, to see that this is basically how they view their interactions with AI as a symbiosis. To look at the actual script that the robotic AI generates of the interaction that happened during the surgery, and they're reviewing them. So basically, this whole idea of reflection is happening in some cases. I mean, how quickly it's going to go and how fast this is going to happen. I guess we can see that with the LLMs as well, that there are lots of LLMs that are doing really well on a very narrow task, right? But and these basically are going to improve, and you can apply that for very narrow tasks. each time. Some of these narrow tasks, if you, for instance, interact with ChatGPT a lot, and you go, I guess, going back and forth. Much you interact with your robot, and the other side is basically it can be a very narrow area, but again that can be a very rapid change. In some areas that I can see, like in computer science, they are pursuing instead of narrow AI, very broad AI. So in that case, maybe the change is going to be a lot less fast. But again, we are talking about a totally different thing, right? So with narrow AI, I think the symbiotic relationships will happen pretty quickly. With the generative, like a general AI, so creating an AI that can really adapt, that can really respond and customize and adapt to your needs really quickly, that the change there might be a lot slower. Hopefully I answered your question.
Do we have any more questions? Yes, Professor Ritesh. Dr. Ritesh, please, you have to use this microphone so that Professor Laszlo, sir, please use this microphone so that Professor Laszlo can hear.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the insightful and the meaningful session. My question might look a little contradictory. When we talk of artificial intelligence and machine learning being used every day, we understand that not all the countries, specifically not even developed countries, have moved to renewable energy sources. And we understand that these AI and all these machines have been using a lot of energy, a lot of power. So how we are able to manage the power consumption that we are doing from the non-renewable energy sources and the sustainability that we are talking in the area, for instance, blockchain, when we say data mining from there is using a lot of energy. How we will be balancing and how emerging economies like India and other Asia-Pacific countries can take care of it. That's my question.
Wow, that was a big question. Thank you so much. I'm not too sure I can address all of that. But you're right. I mean, one of the issues that I've seen, and when I talk to companies about digital sustainability, it's clearly about the energy consumption, right? So some of the energy that these LLMs need is greatly, I guess, exceeds anything that you can imagine. So when you think about AI, Google's AI, or Azure from Microsoft, or OpenAI, basically, so that's one of the, I guess, great challenges that they have, and some of the ideas that we received basically for the digital sustainability as well was really about reducing the energy consumption, right? So that how are they dealing with this? I guess that's sort of the question for the future, because at the moment these things are not solved, right? So at the moment everybody is going into this rabbit hole of they need more data, or more data processing, or more data accumulation and processing. They need more servers, and they need basically more cooling power. So that's where I don't think anybody is solving these problems. At the moment everybody is just creating the problem, right? So I'm not too sure that we sort of solving the problem just yet, but I guess a lot of these companies are identified that this is a huge issue. What I like about some of these digital sustainability projects that I've heard about is that they do actually think about these ideas. I mean, that was the first thing that comes on your mind, right? So if you're using too much energy, then the first thing that you're trying to reduce is basically about that energy consumption. So some of the projects that have addressed already this issue, but I don't think that I certainly haven't heard the ideas about how to solve this issue just yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Before we leave you, we have a vote of thanks from Dr. Abhijit Lele, who is the HOD Analytics, Pune Institute of Business Management. May I call upon Dr. Abhijit Lele to deliver the vote of thanks.
So, good evening, Professor Laszlo, and good afternoon everyone who are present over here. I want to thank on behalf of PIBM and ISDSI Global, Professor Laszlo, that you took time and you delivered a fantastic session on the use of AI in services sector and futures ahead. So entire presentation was very well structured on the 4 pillars of evolution of AI, understanding AI, approaches to AI, and managing services with AI. And in this we had a lot of discussion, also very interesting interplay that you explained amongst the physical, digital and biological, and how it is reshaping the entire way in which the services are being rendered in marketing. That was really interesting. Also the examples on healthcare analytics, Netflix, and how Target is using all these things was very, very interesting. So once again, on behalf of PIBM and ISDSI, I would like to give you a big round of applause for taking time out and giving us this wonderful presentation. And of course, since the beginning of this century, we have been witnessing examples of weak AI in terms of pattern recognition, in terms of classification, regression. And as we move forward, in fact, in last 2 years, the EI, right, as you rightly mentioned, emotions and empathy are now integrated with the machine learning. And that is really the game changer, when in future you will never get to know that the person who is standing over here is a human or a machine or a robot. That will be the true game changer, and that day is not far, I will say. We have already started to move very fast towards that particular day. And with this, once again, I thank you everyone, all the dignitaries and participants for witnessing this session, and all the people who asked wonderful questions so that we can have discussions. Thank you so much, Professor Laszlo, and we look forward in future also to have interaction with you, physically also over here at campus at PIBM Pune. Thank you so much. Let's have a round of applause for Professor.
Thank you very much. I just really want to express my gratitude as well to you and your team and everybody who attended the session. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. I really do hope that next year I can come in person, and I enjoy your amazing facilities and amazing conference. Thank you so much again. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much. I now invite the host once again to take care of the proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Lele. Now, may I request all the dignitaries to proceed for a tea break for 30 minutes, post which we will resume our second doctoral workshop. May I please request all the HODs to kindly guide a guest to the boardroom for the tea break. We will again resume the second doctoral workshop after 30 minutes post a tea break. Thank you so much.